Good morning. Buenos dias. I'm Edgar Garcia, Interim General Manager for El Pueblo. Welcome to the birthplace of Los Angeles, El Pueblo de Los Angeles Historical Monument. This historic space has been witness to our city's history, our struggles, and our triumphs. We're here in the historic Pico House Hotel, built in 1870. This is the first three-story building in Los Angeles, built by Mexican Governor Pio Pico. And we're also in front of the historic plaza, the city's first open space from 1815, our beloved Placita. While we are proud of our city's heritage, this is also a space of difficult history that unfortunately shares a stark parallel to what we're seeing today. In 1931, our plaza here was the site of the forced repatriation of U.S. citizens of Mexican heritage, where raids occurred on unsuspecting visitors to Olvera Street. It's a sad history, but a powerful reminder of what we're facing today. The fear and trauma of so many back then has once again been awakened across our city. But there's also another history, one rooted in hope, unity, and solidarity. Here was where in the 1980s, Father Luis Olivares of the iconic Placita Church, just across the street, initiated the sanctuary movement, declaring the Placita as a sanctuary and safe space for all immigrants and refugees. And myself, as a child of immigrants, I recall those days as an LA kid. I will never forget the news coverage of our own Mayor Tom Bradley standing side by side in solidarity with the sanctuary movement. And so today, I want to thank our Mayor Karen Bass for being here at El Pueblo, continuing that tradition of leadership and resilience. Here at the very heart of Los Angeles, we're here to support you in all efforts to protect our immigrant communities. Thank you, Mayor Bass.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for recalling that tradition. You were a young child, I wasn't, but I remember Father Olivares very well and remember that movement, and that movement continues today and is represented by the people who are standing here with me. So the organizations that are represented, and some you will hear to speak today, CHIRLA, the Salvadorian American Leadership and Educational Fund, the Asian Pacific Islander Equity Alliance, Community Coalition, Inclusive Action, and SEIU USWW, continuing the tradition of solidarity in our city. I am here today to sign an executive directive, and I just want to point out the irony for a minute, that there is a need for me to have an executive directive to help our city understand how to protect itself from our federal government. Just let that sink in for a minute. What we have seen here over the last now going on 6 weeks of raids that pop up and we never know exactly when and where they're going to happen. We've seen them in the general region. I'm sure many people saw Camarillo yesterday and what broke out there. We saw MacArthur Park earlier this week, which I think now, after all assessments, it is viewed as just a display of force, just to put the city in its place, to say we are the federal government, we can roll out troops whenever we choose. So the executive directive that I will be signing in a few minutes is to help the city family, to help the city workforce, to help the city departments and all of the general managers essentially develop preparedness plans that have specific protocols and that help city workers know how to address immigration officials should they approach a city department. How we abide by the law, but we understand what our rights are as city employees, how we can provide protection for immigrants who might be attending a city event or at a city property, but we stay within the law. That we make sure that people that work with city contractors ensure that they are safe on city property. So you might have heard that a few days ago, there were city contractors who were working and ICE rolled up on them and asked for ID and was inappropriate. And so even people that contract with the city, we want them to understand what their rights are. We want each department to have an immigration affairs liaison And we want each department that if they encounter any federal officials, that they contact the city, especially the mayor's office, right away, so that we can, number one, make account of this, but also make sure that all the city departments and city workers are informed on how to deal with this. We also want to disseminate information on city services and assistance programs for families that are impacted by federal enforcement actions. And we are submitting a FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act request regarding the dates and locations of all enforcement activities in Los Angeles. I think you've heard me repeat every time I speak before you that when people are taken from our city, we do not necessarily know where they are going. They are not provided regular access to families or to legal counsel. I have met with family members who they needed two incomes in order to make the rent. Well, one income was lost in a raid when someone was detained. And this woman with her children now is concerned that she might face being evicted and being homeless. And so it's that type of emergency assistance. And we're fortunate that there's a lot of philanthropic partners who have contributed, and many more I hope that will join in and contribute. We're organizing food deliveries. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we are having to do now to protect people from the federal government.
Following up on that, are you prepared to do this work should the federal government not fulfill its request?
We're prepared to fight all the way. Specifically, we want to obtain records regarding the dates and locations of all enforcement activities in Los Angeles, the identity of individuals, and the reasons that they were arrested or detained. Remember, I was mentioning that's one of the things that really has been traumatizing, is not knowing where people are and people not having access to their family members. We also want to know that about the policies that are governing both federal officials, use of badges and other forms of identification, as well as masks and other methods that obscure identification. You know, just think about it for a minute. They wear masks because they're afraid of being attacked. What about our law enforcement officers here? I mean, they're not masked, and they're here. These folks are parachuting in, and I'm assuming are going to be parachuting out. So what is the threat? And what is the threat if you're carrying weapons on you with you know, these vests on that have dubious identification? Sometimes it just says police. That's why I always say it looks like they got them online. And they don't even look real. So that's what we're wanting to know in the FOIA as well. What are the specific policies that say you need to be masked and that say that you don't have to have proper identification? Sometimes the identification is hidden. It should be open. Los Angeles Police Department, they have to have not only give you your name, their name and badge number, but they're also supposed to give you a business card. Here we have masked people, we don't know who they are, stopping people in unmarked cars. How do we distinguish them from the criminal element? And we've been fortunate here, as far as I'm aware, unless anybody tells me there's been things that we haven't been made aware of, that so far there haven't been kidnappings with criminals. There have been kidnappings, but not with the criminal element like there have been in other states. But you do know that they arrested someone who was an imposter. I don't know if he committed any crimes. Hopefully they caught him before he did that.
Mayor, thank you for that organization. If you can talk to us about, you say you're bringing back, as part of the program, bringing back the Angelino Color. And my question is, how soon and how much, if I'm not mistaken, you said it's going to be cash?
Yes, it's a couple $100. I don't know the exact amount, and this should be available in about a week.
In about a week. Mm-hmm. Do they need any
philanthropic organization.
Is this in the requirements for receive that?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you know, similar to what we went through with the fires, in our impacted worker center, we had a way of knowing whether somebody was actually impacted by the fire. So it's not like they're just handed out on the streets. They're given to organizations that are in contact, like many of the organizations here, that are in contact with the population. They know their constituents.